Hey everyone, Evan Kirstel. It's been a few days. I'm excited to be live from SAP Sapphire with UiPath. Vikram, how are you?
Hey, Evan, doing well, doing well.
Well,
So
we are
quite a busy.
trying to go live from the UiPath booth. People should stop by, but in the meantime, what brings you to Sapphire? And tell us about the event.
Yeah, so UiPath actually just recently partnered closely with with SAP, but overall we're an automation platform. Several hundreds or thousands of our customers use SAP every day, and so we just want to get the name out there and make sure people are aware that for their automation needs they can turn to UiPath.
That's fantastic. And what about you? What's your role at UiPath? What do you do?
Yeah. So I joined UiPath about 5 years ago, and my role has evolved quite a bit. I really originally started as a sales engineer. Coming from a consulting background, it's very easy for me to kind of uh, talk the technical talk on explaining the platform to customers in a pre-sales capacity. I've switched as we've kind of evolved our platform. I've been moved to a bunch of different roles, but my latest role is actually as a test automation sales solution specialist. So I work with our top 10, top 20 customers, walking them through the various aspects of our testing capabilities, both for application testing as well as our RPA or our automation testing as well.
Fantastic. Well, you've 5 years, that's a lifetime in tech. So you've seen a bit. And for those who aren't familiar with UiPath, tell us about you're the business automation platform, sort of what it is at a high level and things they might not have heard about it.
Definitely, and for that, I think it's going to be easiest if I share my screen with the audience here. But the UiPath Business Automation Platform is really a full. It's a platform. It's an end-to-end solution. Oftentimes, when you approach organizations and ask them, or they come to you with challenges where automation is the solution, typically organizations want to dive directly to the automation pillar. And so, from an automation perspective, which you can see it's a third of our platform, we're really focused on democratizing automation. We want not only the advanced developers who know code to be able to automate things, we also want the more junior developers, an intern off the street or someone without a coding background to be able to also have the same capabilities to achieve automation. And so our studio is all focused on that kind of drag and drop, low code, visual based designer experience. However, automation is just kind of one part of it. Ultimately, when implementing automation, you have to surround it with a full solution because at some point organizations think they've automated everything or they want to know, are they automating the right solution? And so that's where our continuous discovery component of our solution comes in, because organizations, they have back-end experiences with server data, they have front end user experiences with the way users are interacting with an application. And then you have a lot of communication information coming in with documents or emails. And there's a number of things that you want to capture or ideate on where should I start automation. And so that's what the continuous discovery component of our platform ends with. The final part and component is the operation pillar. And so once I know what I want to automate and I've actually automated it, it's running it continuously, making sure it's going to work with application changes, testing it regularly, deploying a solution such that it can be automated, both unattended as well as any uh, human validation or human ideation that is required, being able to quickly switch from a robot to a human user, that's very important from a flexible operation point of view. And then all of this kind of goes back around. Once you've automated solution, was it worth it, right? Doing the analytics on it, making sure that you are meeting your KPIs, that you're achieving the ROI. The platform is very focused on that, such that you can continue automating more, getting the resources, and career advancement along the way.
Fantastic. Well, that's quite a great overview here. So you're in force at Sapphire. I understand you have dozens of people there in the UiPath booth. So what's the value proposition exactly to to SAP customers in assisting them with their migration?
Yeah, so we have a number of different kind of topics that we can really talk to our customers. When we focus on kind of the migration to S4 HANA, it's often like uh, organizations either know what it is, or they're kind of it's something that needs to happen by 2027, but they're not exactly sure how to do it. And when I talk about a 4 HANA migration, I often try to paint a simple picture. You're currently on ECC, great island, but the grass is always greener. You want to move to the S4 HANA environment. And what SAP has done is they've given you a bridge toolkit, right? SAP has something called the migration cockpit. And ultimately, with that toolkit, it's up to customers or their partners to implement it. And so ultimately, when it comes to an implementation, an organization will have a lot of questions. What if the bridge breaks? How do I carry all my stuff over? When will I need to finish this migration, or when will my island be submerged? Will I make it across this bridge over to 4 HANA in time? And so that's where UiPath comes in. We can help you take this bridge toolkit and ultimately put it together in such a way that it's successful. And then afterwards, after you've built the bridge, we can help you take all those components that you use to build the bridge and make your S4 HANA experience, the training that needs to go in it, the processes that need to be reworked. We can help you automate those after the fact and build houses in your kind of, if we were to take this analogy a bit further, houses in your new environment. And so a high level overview in kind of the HANA of S4 HANA migration is that this project has a lot of preparation and development before the actual migration. And after the migration, there's a lot of testing and post-migration value that can be achieved. And so if we were to take a look at all the various automation potential, you can see data preparation, quality checks, regression testing, verification of the end-to-end business processes, as well as data. These are all of the different things that we can help organizations automate.
Fantastic. Love the analogy. Paints a pretty exciting picture. And of course, automation is all the rage these days, and you've been powering much of that in the enterprise. But how do people know what to automate? How do you build that priority and decide what needs automation behind it?
Yeah, great question. And so that's where I typically walk customers through our SAP continuous discovery. Typically, continuous discovery, it's a value-based approach, right? Are you meeting your key performance indicators, your KPIs? And then what are the different stages? So first you want to discover, right? So ingest data, understand that data, transforming it into something that you can ultimately act upon. Acting upon means creating an automation. And so once you've created that automation, it's a feedback loop. So you have to ultimately continually monitor it. And so that's kind of the continuous discovery in the nutshell. From a product perspective, we have process mining to help you analyze data on the back end, your server level data, hooking directly to your SAP database and understanding a process like a procure to pay or an order to cash process. You have task mining, right? So when you're actually creating a sales order in WinGUI or WebGUI or Fiori, humans interact with those processes in different ways. So making sure you understand the actual UI level interaction on the screen. And lastly, ingestion of emails or service tickets. All of these methods, once you analyze and understand how it's used, we can collect those information in Automation Hub, help organizations prioritize based on those KPIs and the ROI and the value that each individual process provides, and then accelerate automations, either through our solution accelerators or by having a very easy to use low code platform to build something very rapidly along the way. But yeah, I mean, definitely there's a lot more in detail. And so for anyone at Sapphire, encourage you guys to stop by the booth, because for each one of these segments, I can probably do an hour-long talk. But ultimately, we try to customize our conversation to our customers as much as possible.
Makes total sense. So let's talk cloud. I mean, everyone's talking cloud all the time. But what's behind UiPath's cloud strategy and at SAP Sapphire in particular?
Yeah, that's a great question. And for that, let me pull up kind of our architecture and deployment options. So UiPath is really focused on making things available to all organizations. So of course, we started back in 2015 with standalone products, but as we released and built more of a platform around these products, we have two deployment options. And cloud is becoming a lot more popular within our customer base as more organizations are focused on moving towards the cloud. And so ensuring that all of our products, our process mining, our studio, our robots, are all available within the cloud has been a top priority for us. But most importantly, because it's no installation required, you can start instantly and scale infinitely. Ultimately, the benefits of a cloud deployment mean that you're going to get advantage of our updates and releases. We have a very large R&D team that's consistently innovating with AI components of our platform. And so we have releases within the cloud every 2 weeks, and we have guaranteed 99.9% uptime with built-in disaster recovery. And so ensuring that you're getting all components of a platform, from the discovery products I mentioned earlier to the orchestration to our API integration service, document understanding, all of this is now available within the cloud for customers to use.
Wow, super super compelling. So such a complete story and
Yeah.
picture here. And
And
talk about
Evan,
implementation
there was
because
actually yeah, there's actually one more thing that I wanted to add, right? So when you're talking about the actual interfaces that organizations work with, SAP, a lot of organizations are moving from the desktop WinGUI to SAP Fiori. And so SAP Fiori is the modern interface in which organizations work with. And so really, we don't care what customers are using, depending on what stage of a migration they're able to work with. Our experience of actually automating each of these interfaces is going to be relatively the same. And so kind of we can work very easily. It's just a point and click. And we have full confidence able to work with all of the different interfaces. Just wanted to definitely mention that before moving on to the next conversation point.
well, it's a great point because that leads to the next topic. Ease of implementation, ease of deployment. Any anecdotes or stories about this process? It's usually tougher than you imagine when you go into it.
Yeah. And so my favorite story to tell is kind of my own experience. So coming from a consulting background, I actually studied chemical engineering in college. I mean, there's not much software that happens in that field.
Hmm.
And so with UiPath, what was really cool is once I kind of got the interview, we have a community version. I was able to download it, play around with it, and go through our UiPath Academy. Our Academy team does a great job of creating easy to use content that you can follow along. And so going through that, I was able to enable myself in a matter of about a week and start using the tool. And it's even though you might see kind of code on the back end, our point and click methodology allows you to simply choose an object in your SAP environment, and UiPath does all the heavy lifting on the back end. So what do I want to click? Where do I want to type? What data do I want to feed into my automation? I can build something very flexibly and get something deployed in a matter of weeks. And obviously, once I have a very simple solution, organizations typically feed that back to a center of excellence and start building more structure and more robustness around the solution. But collecting those components from my individual developers becomes very easy because I can pull business users from different business units within my organization and get them involved in that development process.
Fantastic. Um, I think we covered a lot of bases. Anything else top of mind before we kind of wrap up here and let you get back to the show?
Yeah, so definitely the last thing I wanted to talk about was kind of our AI powered
Oh,
capabilities.
we couldn't have a chat about tech without talking about AI.
Oh,
Come on, man.
for sure, for sure. And so this is where our product team is doing some fantastic stuff. whether it's working with different user interfaces. We have a ability to read a screen as if a human would without the technical mumbo jumbo behind the scenes. We have a semantic copy paste where we can actually just select an Excel document or an email, extract the information, and then enter it in multiple screens. So that's kind of our clipboard AI product that's actually in a preview phase. I mentioned communications mining earlier, but being able to just ingest data from emails and translate that into understandable intent behind a communication is really important. And then, of course, Chat GPT is all the rage. So we have GPT AI activities that you can ask questions to either understand documents or in our application testing area, generate test data or come up with test scenarios. So our engineering team is really at the forefront of AI, ensuring that organizations can take advantage of the latest and greatest and ultimately build that into a deployable solution to fit an organization's needs.
Fantastic. Well, exciting update. Thanks so much for sharing, the vision. Why don't you pan around a little bit? How does the show look? Uh, I understand it's one of the biggest, events in quite a few years since the pandemic started. So
Yeah,
great, good times.
for sure, for sure. It's really great to be here back in person. Serena Williams is speaking, so definitely was able
Oh wow,
to
she's the
to
best.
see her get motivated. But ultimately, it's really exciting that all the different backgrounds that customers are coming from. Obviously, the show floor is great, but a lot of the networking happens afterwards, right? And meeting new people, hearing their stories, hearing their backgrounds. It's really fascinating, and definitely love being in person again.
Oh, absolutely. So what's next on your radar? Back to the office, back to home after the show? Any other trips coming up that look fun or exciting?
Yeah, yeah. So in October, UiPath actually has our Forward conference. So that's
Of
where
course.
UiPath will be able to share all of our own kind of new product enhancements, and it's a huge event for us. So whether organizations are SAP focused or there have other non SAP applications, it's definitely a great way to learn more about UiPath if you're interested in really automating anything. Right. That's my goal is remove the boundary of what is the possible and really think of anything as being possible.
Automating anything. So on that note, thanks so much for the update. Look forward to additional posts from you and videos, and have a great show.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you and talking with you.
Likewise. Bye, everyone.